Put kids to bed, dad's home. We are the DWO podcast representing the Dad World Order. I am the handsome head of household, Mr. Magnificent, Mike Martin. And with me, as always, the rest of the Dad Wolf Pack. He is the big bad bearded daddy. He is Big Rig Eric Murphy.
Honk if you hear me.
He is the perpetual Mig Carter and the two-time world record holding, t-shirt wearing, wrestling t-shirt guy, Cephas.
All right, what up, y'all? Just so you know, next year it's going to be 3-time world record. 3-time.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah.
I'm in color me intrigued. I'm doing good, man. Rocking and rolling. As Mr. Magnificent said, we are the DWO podcast, and tonight we have with us a very special guest, another of the Revolver family, Mr. Bork Torkleson. Sir, how the heck are you?
Hey, that's me. I'm doing all right. Happy to be on the podcast. Thank you guys for being sponsors of the Wrestling Revolver. And
Absolutely, man.
let's talk some wrestling.
We love. I mean, we haven't really shut up about it even since before we were sponsors, because we've just enjoyed every single Revolver show that we've been at, and now that we're a little more involved, it's even more fun to talk about.
Hell yeah! And I'm obviously more than a little biased, but I wholeheartedly believe that we give the world the best independent wrestling that money can buy. We're all about quality over quantity and just making awesome wrestling shows.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Real quick from our boys, the Cheap Pop, Mike, getting a little compliment there. Our thumbnail image. I don't know. Did you send the one to Bork that we made?
Yeah. Oh, I saw it.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. You appreciate that. we try to make them entertaining.
Heck yeah. Oh, look at him with all the love. He's giving me some love too.
Yeah, there you go. Rock and roll.
600 days. Yep, we're on day 606 today.
Of what, if I may ask?
Oh, you don't know my gimmick? Oh, so I am the world record holder for 2 separate world records. Okay. One, I went the most consecutive days wearing a pro wrestling t-shirt without a repeat. I went 425 days wearing a different pro wrestling shirt. Now I'm at day 606 of just constantly wearing a wrestling shirt. I just started doing repeats at day 426.
Gotcha.
So at this point, I'm on day 606, and I keep adding new shirts. I keep going through old shirts too. And it's starting to get me a little bit of a separate following from this, and it's helping build this, and everything's working together copacetically, dude. And everything seems to just be falling into place for all of us, man.
So my question is, 60 days from now, what shirt do you have planned? Because that's a big one.
So I've been thinking about it. It's probably got to be a Ministry Undertaker shirt. It's got to be that, or it's got to be something like maybe Danhausen, maybe
MJF Devil shirt.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea.
You're welcome.
I do know I just purchased a new Rey Mysterio shirt for day 619. I hope.
Oh, nice.
I hope that it comes in time. I think it should. You know what I mean? I think we got 2 weeks, so I'm gonna be real pissed when it shows up the day after. Me wearing it on thick 620, like this is stupid.
Yeah. This was supposed to be here yesterday.
But it is what it is. Sometimes I don't think ahead. Sometimes I do. Like before, I wore a Jericho shirt on the anniversary of the day that he did the list of 1,001 holds, or 1,004 holds. Sorry.
Nice.
But it's different stuff I try to line up with. But for the most part, I just do whatever. But to feed Big Rig's spectacle and to self-promote just a little bit more, speculation. I am going to attempt to eat the most cheese conies in the world next year for 1 year. So the record right now is 600 cheese conies, chili cheese dogs. For those of you who don't know what a coney is. Chili, cheese, and wiener.
No onions, no mustard?
Well, we're doing mustard, but fuck onions, bro. They got to be cooked.
What?
Yeah, no onions. But listen, I don't like raws, okay? But the record stands at 600, so I'm going to attempt.
That's it?
Yeah, it's 600 and something. But that was like He was. It was just the most he ate in competitions that year. He didn't sit down to try to eat.
Is this like in a year?
Yes, in a 1 year period. So I'm going to eat 4 a day, every single day, for the year of 2023. So
Please don't die.
Your poor colon.
listen, Bork, I don't know how much you know about me, buddy, but I have a wiener tattooed on me.
Oh wow.
So I go really hard for the Tony.
No. You can't
All right.
lift your shirt up and just show
God
that.
damn it. All right, and then I got this started too.
Ooh,
Yeah,
That is the OG Intercontinental title.
pretty impressive.
covering up this nonsense that I did when I was 16. Fucking put a
I love the
hatchet
fact that
down
your
on
belly
my
button makes every one of our shows now.
It's weird at this point. It's weird. I show my belly to a bunch of dudes every week.
And every couple days, one of your T-shirt videos has an ominous butthole in the background. And that's because he'll shoot it right after this, and I yell butthole as loud as I can while he's recording his video.
There's quite a few of them.
It's a good thing to yell.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
At this point,
Um,
I need a t-shirt guy shirt that just randomly says butthole, like right down here. You know,
Yeah.
what I mean?
A
Just
little
tiny butthole.
little bubble. So Bork, obviously you do a lot of the commentating for Wrestling
do.
Revolver. We'll get into that, but is there anything else that you're involved with? I know when talking to Roland, he said everybody kind of is multifaceted with Revolver in terms of what they do there and what they help out with.
Yeah, I mean, we all just kind of try to pitch in, do our best. I do a lot of the ticketing stuff. So if you come to a show, you're probably going to see me and Sammy at the right at the front, taking your money or taking your ticket or sending you off to enjoy the meet and greet. So that's part of it. I don't know. I help do those control center spots. Hopefully
Those are cool. I like that you guys started doing those.
Yeah, thanks. I would like to do those more regularly so that we can have one for every show. But yeah, I just help out where I can. A lot of the big banners and wall cling stickers and those sorts of things. I help print those and so forth. But yeah, mainly just doing commentary and staying out of everyone's way. That's my main thing.
I wouldn't be me if I didn't say that if you have any extra vinyls or stickers or something and you wanted to slide them our way, I might have a few dollars for you, I don't know if you noticed, but I collect pro wrestling. So
yeah, we'll talk afterwards. Just let me know. Uh-oh, Big Rig's gone down.
Yeah, he's got a poor connection as of late, but we're gonna figure it out. He looks like he's already coming back. So
excellent. We just recently got that good old fiber connection. So if my feed goes out, then I really need to send a very strongly worded email.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it might be my hub that I have connected to my laptop. It's not like a super expensive one by any means, so who knows how much Ethernet I'm actually getting through that thing. So
if you need a super long cord, I got you, dog.
No, I have an Ethernet cord. It's the hub that's connected into my laptop. Doesn't have an actual Ethernet plug. I have to plug a hub into it to connect.
It only
Ethernet.
has USB-C ports.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all. That's pretty much all the new laptops, dude.
You have a MacBook, don't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You get 4 USB-C and 1 audio connection.
I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I absolutely love this laptop, but yeah, having to buy a whole hub just to, connect my mic and Ethernet and HDMI and all that.
I bought a hub that has like an Ethernet, a HDMI, additional USB-C, a corkscrew, a toothpick.
I was about to say, hold on. Hold on.
Got scissors.
It's got a ported gun.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
Like $4 on Amazon.
If you shit in it, it will power it for the next day.
That's right.
Shit power.
So, Borg, I have to say, one of the coolest things for us was hearing after we started sponsoring, was hearing on commentary, we'd like to thank our sponsors, the Dad World Order, and hearing that come out of your and Beta's mouth, like that was a very surreal moment for all of it. Like this is happening. Like what?
Cool. Well,
like,
thanks.
you know, you said Dad World Order podcast and Swerve City podcast, and I'm like, we're basically the same. You know?
Yeah. That'd be an awesome guest. We need to work on him when he, doesn't have a giant agent to go through.
Oh,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, AWs.
But yeah, no, we really, really appreciate all of our sponsors. So, and it may not sound like it at times on the mic, but I absolutely love pro wrestling as well. So it's just fans who are also doing something, being creative, starting conversations. Like, it's all good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we loved doing, is we just felt like we were talking about Revolver all the time on our show. And then we got to talking to Roland more and more, and it was just like, dude, can we like figure out some kind of sponsor? Because we just want to be involved as much as we can, because he's like Mike has said this so many times. Revolver, it feels like you guys are just a big family, and it's just something that's really cool to be a part of, even if it's just a small part. So
absolutely. Well, and that's the thing, like it takes all those small parts to make something as special as we have with Wrestling Revolver, I think. We're all just trying to contribute, and honestly, I think that's what makes our product so special, is that connection that we have with the fans. Like, obviously wrestlers in the ring, that's where the real action's happening. But if you have a dead crowd, if you have a crowd that's not willing to give you anything, or is just tired or bored, and, granted, if the booking's bad, if the matches are bad, they have every right to be tired or bored or, not responsive. But when the wrestlers and the fans have that sort of interaction, that back and forth, that energy is something you can feel. That's why I love Revolver so much. It's because like you just get that feeling in the air at every one of our shows that like something special is going to happen. And I think the wrestlers contribute to that. And in no small part, the fans obviously contribute to that as well.
Yeah, I think if the COVID era of wrestling showed us anything, is that how important a crowd and fans and fan interaction is to a wrestling show.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can get away with those, cinematic matches, or the rare empty arena match. But I think, it always helps when a storyline leads to that. But yeah, I mean, 2020 was a dark year for pro wrestling.
God, you are not kidding, dude.
And we made it through it. That's what matters.
Came back bigger and stronger. I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult, I think, at this point to argue that I don't want to say we're in a new golden age of wrestling, but goddamn, there is a plethora of phenomenal pro wrestling right now.
Yeah,
I'll go on record as saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, look at Wembley and look at WrestleMania this year. Both record selling gates, both records for the company. WWE just started to sell the expensive seats, not even the cheap seats yet, for WrestleMania, and they've already broke records. We are in a boom for wrestling, absolutely. Look at that, we get views. Like, we get consistent views, we get consistent downloads. Like, you know what I mean? Where people enjoy our show, you know what I mean? And there's room for us to be here, and we're starting to get some steam, you know what I mean? The steam that we're getting comes from that swell. And I think with Revolver, I think that they have it, really pinpointed with their catchphrase. Never once in pro wrestling have I ever identified with "Together Now Forever," but I definitely fucking identify with "For Our Generation, by Our Generation." And that's what we're driving to Iowa for, just to watch this, that we could watch on Fight TV for $7.99 a month, I think.
Hey, that Fight Plus is a hell of a deal.
That Fight Plus is awesome.
Love Fight Plus, but we're still driving 8 hours and 24 minutes. They're driving even more than that because they got to go to my house first.
Yeah. So we're an hour from him. So yeah.
So we're driving 8 hours and 24 minutes minimum just to watch this because it's that attractive. It feels, and like I said, I hate to parallel it with ECW, but it just feels like it has the groundswell of a young ECW, and god damn, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's just I feel like it's been nothing but forward momentum and moving upward, getting better and better every year. I mean, this is a young company, and I would argue 2022 was a year that we just exploded. Like last year, we just had incredible event after incredible event, and we're just keeping that momentum going. You know, Jesus, we're already in August. This year's almost over, and 2023 I think has kept that momentum rolling. You know, we just put together incredible matches that you can't really see anywhere else, and I think people are really responding to that.
I mean, bell to bell, I mean, bookend to bookend, it is just great match after great match after great match. And I'd say if
there
not
is no bathroom break match,
there is not. There really isn't. You're like, God, almost intermission. I got to pee, and I don't want to miss anything.
And I will say, we pride ourselves. You know, we don't get me wrong. We stumble sometimes, but we have been doing a pretty damn good job of hitting our 3-hour time and being done. Like our shows are pretty darn close to starting at 8 and being done at 11.
Yeah.
I think that's important for that very bathroom break reason. We get, 4 matches in. Here's your 15, 20 minutes to get a drink, go to the bathroom, and get back as soon as you can because there's going to be some incredible action, immediately following this. And I like that Luke from I Shoot Wrestling, our production guy, and you guys, I'm sure, know this from watching on Fight, but he'll run matches during intermission. So when you're watching a Revolver show, you're always going to get matches. Like there is no downtime. Which
and he puts some good ones on there, man.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm so excited that I don't have to watch it this time. Like, I don't have to watch the Iowa show because
Iowa always seems to be that show. Like, oh my god, they got Ray Phoenix. Oh my god, they got
fucking Dreamer.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we have heard every single time we go to a Dayton show. It seems like everybody's like, oh, you guys got to go to Iowa. You got to go to Iowa. Iowa's awesome. And like, you kind of hear that and you're like, really, Iowa? But like, we watch on Fight, and no disrespect to Iowa, but it's not New York. Come on. But we watch on Fight, and it's just that crowd which I mean, our crowd's pretty awesome too in Dayton. We bring a pretty good energy, but the crowd. Obviously, it's a little bit bigger venue, and it seems like that crowd is just rocking every time.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, I think I could be wrong here, but I think a large part of that is I think there is a lack of really high quality, high caliber wrestling in that general area.
Yeah. I can see that.
At least, in terms of the best indies in the country, I think you don't see them there very often. So when we show up every other month, it's a happening, to quote Gorilla Monsoon, right? It is absolutely. It is an event, and I think that's why people are so pumped, is because they're kind of starved for great wrestling.
Yeah, I get that.
Whereas in Dayton, don't get me wrong, we have incredible crowds. I love the Calumet Center. I think it's got a great vibe. I think we fill that place up, and it just it has a vibe and an energy of its own. But I think one of the great things about living in Dayton is you are just a few hours away from some of the biggest cities in the country. Detroit's not far away. Chicago's not far away. Louisville, like
Columbus,
Indianapolis,
Cincinnati. Yep.
And if you want to go a little longer, you can get to Pittsburgh. And so you can always go see great shows. But to have them come to Dayton, which, don't get me wrong, there's some smaller indie companies running in Dayton still, but it hasn't seen like the quality of wrestling that Revolver brings in a while, at least, since the pandemic at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my very first like indie show was in Dayton Fairgrounds. It was a young Ring of Honor show.
Yeah, at the Coliseum?
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It was like young Samoa Joe and young AJ Styles. Man, it was incredible.
I think I'm trying to think. I think one of the last shows I remember seeing at the Coliseum was the American Dragon like farewell tour, and that was really cool. Just to be there at that transition point in one of the best wrestlers in history's careers was very neat. Yeah.
There we
And
go.
Dayton has some great histories too.
Our
Hey,
boy Bobby.
Bobby!
Hey, it's your boy.
I love Bobby Olson.
We do too.
What's not to love about Bob?
I wish we could get a clip of how pissed off we were when Cardona hit him with that fucking drop kick out of the ring.
We were about to fight him. Like, we jumped up out of our seats.
It was legit. He's like, I really thought you guys were going after him.
Yeah, Bobby's a great guy, and I think such a great addition for Jake. I think Jake is a phenomenal wrestler. Obviously, he is our world champion.
We love us some Jake Chris, man.
Yeah, buddy.
But and he and Bobby have known each other for years, so I think that genuine friendship, that real connection between them, really shines through in the way they work together. Bobby's always there when Jake needs him.
Yep. I think our friend Harley, who's a former guest as well, she says it best, man. Revolver's amazing, and they're definitely on fire, man. It's got to be fun for you to be sitting next to some of these people that you've been commentating with, Matt Rayhold, Veda Scott. Has there been any moments where you just kind of take it and just drink it all in still, or you just work when it's time?
That's a great question. There are those times where I am able to take a step back, breathe, and be like, holy shit, I get to do this. I get to do this every month. And I believe I will be going to Texas for the first time for Tales from the Ring. So that'll be a blast.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, just not too long ago, sitting there doing commentary, I believe it was with Raywald. It might have been Veda. I think it was with Raywald. I don't remember. A lot of stuff blurs together in my head. I'm old. And I was just sitting there calling the match, and someone grabs my cans and takes them off my head. And I turn around, and it's Moxley. And I'm like, it's all yours, my friend. I am not going to stop you. Go ahead, take over, call this match. So it's cool. That WrestleMania that I mentioned from 2019, that was the last WrestleCon that I remember working at. And it was a weird one because I'm a color guy. That's where I think I do my best work. But it's WrestleCon, you always have a kind of a different lineup. And I kind of got thrust into a play-by-play role there. And my commentary partner was Don Callis. So I think I could tell the moment he lost all respect for me. I don't even remember who did it. Somebody jumped off the top buckle and just splatted into somebody. And I remember calling it a flying taint press. And at that point, I could tell that Don Callis was pretty much done with me. Thankfully, for the second half of that show, Phil Stamper came up and joined us. Phil's a monster on play-by-play. He jumped right in, called everything, and finally I could get back to my comfort zone. Me and Don provided the color, and that was the second half was better commentary-wise because of that, for sure.
Okay.
Phil's great at commentary too, man, but he sucks at Fortnite, so.
Yeah.
Does he?
Garbage.
Fortnite.
Terrible at Fortnite.
Yeah. Tusslemania pretty much carries him every time we play.
To be fair, Tusslemania carries all of us.
Everyone.
That guy is damn near savant levels with killing people. He'd be like, right here, right here, right here, right here. And we're like, dude, we're just still getting
guns. We're not even near you.
We're not even near you. He's like, I'm sorry, I got 7 kills.
Yeah. And that guy's awesome. He has done so much for independent wrestling. Tussles, he's an awesome dude and does just phenomenal work. So it's, with all the great work he does, it's kind of just a bonus tacked on that he's not a dickhead. He's a great dude as well. But
the whole reason that we're even sponsors, because I just messaged him on Instagram one day and I was like, hey man, because I'd been following him for a little bit and I was just like, I really want to tell this guy how awesome his stuff is. So I just kind of messaged him, and we just kept messaging from there, and it developed into where we are today, which is awesome.
At this point, I would say it is a legitimate, like, damn near brotherhood, man. I give a flying shit about that guy. You know what I mean? And there's very few people that I do. So I don't know. It's been nice. It's been like, I've always loved wrestling. I've got like 6 or 7 wrestling tattoos. I got a room full of it. I love wrestling. But this recent starting of this podcast with these guys, when I joined onto these guys' show, it has reignited it for me even more. And it's, I mean, from the fact that I can't stop saying, yeah, and bro, everything I do is centered around wrestling when it comes to leisure time. So I don't know, man. I'm very thankful for the love that it gives us, man.
But yeah, and I think those friendships, those bonds between people, I think what you're describing with Tussle, Roland, I think that is just kind of a smaller example of just kind of the feel of Revolver in our locker room. Like, you know, wrestling locker rooms can be toxic places for sure. But so Revolvers is the antithesis of that. It's everyone supporting everyone else. You know, it's just cool to see, you know, guys who are legends. You see Alex Shelley talking to, you know, Billy Starks, like, you know, a living legend talking to the future of this business. Like, it's cool. And I think that kind of radiates out into our relationships with each other, with fans, with everything. We have some incredible talent. Everyone works their ass off, and we have great locker room leaders too. I mean, and it's not just Sammy. Jessica has a very important role to play as well. And, you know, people look up to her and they ask her for advice just as they do Sammy. Like, it's such a fantastic blend of people who've done everything in this business and people who are on their way to doing everything.
It feels like that, you know, like we're that box of fireworks right next to everybody using fireworks crazily, and we're just about to explode with it. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like there's just so much energy bound into here, and it's just waiting for, you know, the right time to explode even more than it already is. It's a fun ride with nonstop matches, which I got to bring up. We're going to you're going to be in Iowa as well, right?
Absolutely.
We all 4 are about to see Tommy Dreamer beat the shit out of Damian Chambers.
I can't wait.
Well,
it's going to be a great day.
Maybe Damian Chambers. I mean, you've seen Damian Chambers, right?
That's true.
Listen, I kind of love him, but I also kind of hate him. So I'm excited. Listen, I think he ain't got no chance against Tommy Dreamer.
You know, innovator of violence.
Yeah. Now, Tommy Dreamer may be a little bit aged, if you will, but he's still that guy that took that kendo stick beating. You know what I mean? Like, he is true. One of the toughest son of a bitches there is. So I can't believe that I'm going to get to see him and there not be 30,000 people there. You know what I mean? Like, every time I've seen him, it's been in pay-per-view areas where, you know, I have zero chance of really getting a chance to look at him. And we're going to be front freaking row ready looking at him. You know what I mean? So it's going to be,
you're going to dig the Horizon Events Center too. It's a fun building.
Yeah, we're pumped, man. I mean, like, we're going to have we talked about it last time. Like, the last Dayton show was our first show where we like had a merch table and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And like being set up like next to Jessica and Masha Slamovich was just like, we're here. It's whatever. It's totally normal. And then like inside, I'm like, holy shit, you know, because I'm still a fan at heart. And like, I think about that going out here and I'm like, man, you know, like, yeah, we got to, you know, go out there and be professional and have fun. But still, I'm going to be like, I want to go meet Tommy Dreamer. Like, I want to go hang out with him.
As soon as when we were wrapping up last show, Masha grabbed her stuff and she left. And she's like, all right, bye. And then he waited for like 30 seconds. He's like, Bo, Masha said bye to me.
And people may not know that, like, I come from that background too. You know, I was just a fan who kind of was loud and obnoxious and got plucked out and thrown onto commentary. And it was a steep learning curve, but I had some great people helping me along the way. And yeah, I mean, I think if you don't love this stuff, if you don't still get that like jolt of energy when wrestling magic happens, then I don't know what to do for you. Like, you know, you just don't enjoy life anymore. and at that point, that's when you need to get out of wrestling.
Can you expand on that story? The getting plucked out of the crowd?
Sure. Yeah.
I'd like to hear this.
So I moved back to the Dayton area in about 2007, I think. And shortly after that, a few years after that, Rockstar Pro Wrestling started up in Dayton. I'm thinking 2012-ish, maybe. And I loved it. I was there as much as I could, just as a fan. You know, I was talking to Alex Colon a few days ago.
I'll just drop that name or whatever.
Casual.
Well, you saw his promo, right?
We were just having breakfast together and eating barbed wire.
You know, you asked other ways that I help. I ended up holding a light during his promo, so it's not always glamorous. But what I was saying to Alex, if you see him, he has a really significant scar on the back of his head. That happened right in front of me at a Rockstar show. He went out over the top rope and hit the back of his head on the concrete floor. Immediate blood pooling. It was the scariest thing I'd ever seen.
Holy shit.
You know, you see him get back up. You see him, you know, just working his ass off, fighting like hell the next week. And it's like, oh my God, these people are more than human. Right. Like if I would have smacked my head on that concrete floor, I would have, if I had survived, I would have been laid up for months. And yet, so yeah, I was a fan at Revolver, or pardon me, at Rockstar. I started lots of chants, you know, and a person I met there, Mark Turner, who became a friend, he got called up because we were both kind of loud, but you know, he was very active in starting chants and so forth. And Rockstar had a hard time keeping commentators, so Mark got pulled up first, and he did it for, it might have been months, it might have been years, I'm not really sure, but it was the late spring, early summer of 2015 that Rockstar management came to me and was like, hey, do you want to give commentary a shot too? And I had been doing podcasts for Rockstar. I just, as a fan, did something called the Backstage Pass, where I would, you know, basically promote upcoming internet pay-per-views and have a wrestler or two on to interview. I just asked them, hey, you know, can I show up early and interview someone, you know, the week of your pay-per-view shows? And they said, yeah, you know, do it. So I think, you know, the lesson there is don't be afraid to ask, jump in, take risks, try, you know. I'm sure when you were starting this podcast, there was some hesitation and some, you know, wondering of, can we really pull this off? And clearly you can, you know, I think, and they were very welcoming of me. And in particular, people like Jake Christ, Ron Mathis, Bruce Gray, Bobby Olson, and I'm sure I'm forgetting more, but just to name a few, you know, just kind of, to use the parlance, smartened me up as to, you know, what's going on and how to do this right, how to communicate the correct emotions, all the timing and so forth. So yeah, summer of 2015, I started calling matches for Rockstar. Not too long after that, the foundation happened and Bork Torkleson was born. And Sammy, you know, once he left WWE, came back to Dayton, was coming to Rockstar shows, was on quite a few Rockstar shows, and was like, hey, you know, I like what this guy's doing. Do you want to come try some stuff at Revolver? And that, let me think. I think it was 2016 or 17 that WrestleMania was in Florida? It was the one right before New Orleans.
I think it was 17.
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah, because 18, yeah, it was 17.
So that WrestleCon, was the first Revolver matches I ever called. And the first match I called, I believe, was Dave and Jake Christ with JT Davidson versus Angelico and Jack Evans.
Wow.
3 out of 4 of those competitors were injured. So it turned into this crazy birthday. I guess it was a hardcore match. There was lots of fun, like lightsabers and, just anything they could find lying around. But it was a great time. It was my first chance to call a match on this level with Revolver.
Mhm.
So that was great. And then later that night was... what was it called? Midnight, or might have been the next night, Midnight After Mania, which was a combined Wrestle Circus and Revolver show.
Okay.
And that was the first, well, I guess I didn't call the entire show. I called like 9/10 of it, I guess. But that was the closest to a full show. That was my first thing with Revolver. And I definitely had moments of like, okay, don't geek out. Like you've got to turn that fan dial off or at least down and be a professional, because I we do pride ourselves on being a professional wrestling company.
Yeah.
And I think I did okay that night, but I think I've gotten better over the years, because that was when we're all watching Mania in this theater before our show starts, and I'm just sitting there having a blast. I think it was Roman versus Undertaker, maybe, at that Mania. And, just sitting and watching, and somebody asks if they can sit next to me. And I'm like, yeah, sure, jump in. And I say that before I even turn. And I turn over, and it's John Morrison and Taya Valkyrie. And it's like, oh, cool. Like,
whatever, Johnny.
Have a seat,
Sure.
I go to grab some pizza, right?
Hey, Roy.
I grab some
Right.
pizza, and this guy comes up behind me. He's like, taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, great to meet you. My name's Willie." And it's like, "It's Willie Mack." It's like, "Yeah, I know who you are. You have no idea who I am, but I know who you are." So yeah, it was an interesting kind of awakening of like, oh shit, like I am in the big time now. Like I gotta up my game, because these people are all true professionals, and I really need to work my ass off to try to match their level.
Do you listen back to yourself a lot?
No.
Really?
Yeah, there are times where the most I listen to myself is going back through usually the last month or month before Revolver event, just so I can get the all the details, like of not just how the match ended, but like all the intricate moments in between. And that's the main way that I end up listening to myself. But I haven't gone back and listened to the Rockstar stuff or that early Revolver stuff in quite some time. Every once in a while, like I'll break out. I think one of the best matches I ever called was Rockstar, the Iron Manager versus Zachary Wentz. JT Davidson and Zachary Wentz was such a great match. So filled with emotion. And I believe that was the first and only time, because it spilled out onto the floor, and I was just, cheering Wentz on with everything I had. And the crowd started a "fuck you, Bork" chant. And like that was a moment where I was like, okay, like there is power in this position. Like, I use it wisely.
Well, also speaking of Zachary Wentz, shout out Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz, Rascals Impact Tag Team Champions.
Absolutely.
Love to see it.
Happy to see that.
Yeah.
They deserve it.
These guys don't put on a bad match at all.
No.
Ever.
And I think I talk about this in commentary a lot, but I mean, the Rascals hold a very special place in my heart. Seeing those guys train from their very early days in this business and work their way up, and Zach and Trey and Dez and Myron, like they mean the world to me. So it's great to see them having their own individual and group successes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, as as a commentator, especially an indie wrestling commentator, not a lot of wrestlers, are seeking you out and say, hey, this spot's going to happen, or here's the name of my finisher, or whatever it may be. And the Rascals, have always been there to, I don't want to say defend me, but certainly like stand up for me. Like if anybody was giving me, or, just kind of the wrestling business in general disrespect that came into Rockstar Revolver and was just, their head wasn't in the right place. If anyone was rude to me, those guys would step up and be like, listen, you're in our house now and you're going to treat this gentleman with the respect that he deserves. And that's awesome. I love those guys, and seeing them happy and healthy and thriving in this business just makes me incredibly happy.
Yeah,
what's something cool about them that I noticed too is they notice when you're at their shows more. Like for example, I've seen Myron Reed probably like 20 times this past year, right?
Yeah.
And we stayed pretty late at the last Revolver show, and on the way out, he stopped, talked to us for a minute, and hey, good to see you. You know what I mean? It's just like he didn't have to do that shit, but he notices that we've been there a lot, and when we go ham, and I bought the Rascal shirts, and you know what I mean? That kind of, I don't know, I like that, man. You don't, when you're completely unapproachable, it's almost a turnoff. But when you just get those slight little bits, I feel like that's the perfect way for a wrestler to be cool to their fans. You know what I mean? Just those little bits. I think
Myron in particular, it's been so awesome watching him turn from this like punk little shit into a hell of a wrestler and a dad in his own right. Myron's a family man. A lot of the talent at Revolver, have their own families to deal with and everything. And it's always like I said, with that locker room vibe, like you don't expect to go into the back and see famous wrestling superstars, showing each other pictures of their kids. But that is a cool thing to see. Yeah.
Well, we had that, not necessarily showing pictures of kids or anything, but just like how you're just like, there's these, super famous people. Like the last show we were at, like we were standing right there, and like Takeshita was like, hey, like, pointed at Cephas's sign as we walked out. I'm like, that's Konosuke Takeshita. He was just in front of 81,000 people in London.
Right.
We were right there with him.
I think you just called it out too during that moment. I think you said, I think that guy from the Dad World Order has sign says it right. Holy shit, that's Takeshita.
He said, I believe that's Dad from Dad World Order, which I fucking loved. He just referred to as, so we're technically referred to as Dad, and Daddy.
Right,
there's
like
Dad,
and Eddie.
In fact, well, we got to show you since we're talking about it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Here.
We got a new.
Oh yeah, phenomenal.
Dad, and Daddy. So
You called it correctly, sir.
Well, now I'll do my best to remember names for next time. Speaking of, we talked about the interaction between wrestler and wrestling fan. I didn't know it was you guys. I think Wrestling T-shirt guy that made all the "Fuck Matt Cardona" signs.
Yes, sir.
That's phenomenal. Like that made for such an incredible visual.
That's what I wanted. I wanted it to be a cool moment that people could literally go viral with. I wanted Revolver to have ammunition to use. And I knew that if I put that much effort into saying fuck you to Matt Cardona, I knew that it would make it for a cool moment. And man, did it ever. Especially them parents letting their little like 6-7-year-old boy hold a fuck you Matt Cardona sign.
And then he rips it up in front of him.
And I was, as it was happening, I was like, yes.
It's happening.
Well, and then Tussle got a great shot of it. I know somebody who was, I can't remember who it was, got a shot from the back. So it was like
the referee, Andrew, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, like facing the back of Cardona, and you just saw the sea of signs. And then Allie getting that awesome picture of Cardona just looking at the camera like, what the fuck? And like just fuck Matt Cardona signs everywhere. It was awesome.
That idea was actually born on our chat with Jake Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I want to find more and more ways like that to bring the crowd into Revolver shows as we go along. You know what I mean? Like I was literally trying to think this time, like what I could do. But I feel like the next time we get a nice Cardona level of fuck this guy, why is he here? Who does he think he is? Type of shit. I want to do 300 signs. I want to go extra. You know what I mean? I want him to come out, whoever it is, and be like, dude, why? I have a family. Like shit.
Yeah. And that's, again, I think what makes not just wrestling generally, but specifically Revolver cool is that sort of passion from the fans, and the willingness. Like, it takes time and money to make 30 fuck Matt Cardona signs.
And paint it.
Yes, and effort, right? Like it's cool to see people go that extra mile to make the experience even better for everyone.
Oh, and we had the signs like hidden behind like one of the cages and everything, like until like we handed them out in between. I can't remember what the match before that was, but between matches, like we're sitting there like, here, everybody and like as soon as everybody around us started seeing them, they're like, oh, give me one. And, like I think Mike said it, like people were taking them home with them. Like that's
souvenirs.
That's cool.
Somebody got a picture with Matt Cardona with that sign, and I was just like,
how did I not think to get mine signed by him?
Hey, we'll see him again.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, I don't know if we'll see him again at Revolver because he kind of got ran out like a scalded dog. But maybe if he wants to go for that remix title, Shelley seems like an easier target.
I don't know about that.
Listen, dog, I'm a staunch Chris supporter.
Me too. But Alex Shelley is no pushover.
No,
fucking Chambers called him Alex Dick Kick Shelley, and that's all I can think of now. It's just Alex Dick Kick Shelley. I might have to actually.
Yeah, Damien tagged us in a post on Twitter and Instagram a couple weeks ago now, and it was saying how great he is or whatever, and I posted it to the story and I said. I put in quotes. I just said my wiener hurts, and then put post-match comment from Damian Chambers because that's what he said as he was walking up the ramp. As my wiener hurts, and he ended up reposting it and being like, "I can't refute that. I didn't say this. I got mule kicked by Alex Shelley or whatever." And it was just
Alex Dick Kick Shelley.
Dick Kick Shelley. Yeah.
I gotta say, we're talking about how much we're all looking forward to Iowa. I am looking forward to listening back to Iowa for one match, and you specifically.
Yeah.
The funnest match ever. Something tells me that you're going to add a nice level of Borkness in there that is going to be great. I feel like this match is going to be surprisingly great. I feel like that people aren't going to expect. I feel like there's going to be some good work rate in it because I don't feel like Prince Pretty's just going to come out there and just be funny. This is one of his first matches back. He's going to want to, bring something. So there's gonna and plus the other two men in there, Dan the Dad and Matthew Palmer, both of them can go as well.
Absolutely.
So I think we're gonna get some go with some goofy, and I feel like it is a excellent mixture, man. And that's that. Do you look forward to matches still like that when you see the card? Are you like, oh, I get to call this?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the point you're making, at least. A point about that match is how great wrestling is when it's a variety show.
Yes.
That's why, I think everything has its place at wrestling, from comedy to death matches. They all have their place. But I'm not as interested personally in an all comedy show or an all deathmatch show.
Correct. Me too.
And I don't. This isn't throwing shade or anything, but when I first started watching independent pro wrestling, particularly online, the PWG shit blew me away. Right? No big surprise there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
However, I found their shows utterly exhausting because every match was just fireworks from beginning to end.
Go out there and have the best match possible. Yeah.
Right. And that's cool when you're watching a handful of matches, but I think it can affect a crowd and it can drag energy down over time. So I think you need, the comedy, you need the death match, you need the multi-person matches, all those different things come together to make a wrestling show that, that whole sum of the whole is greater than its parts sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's called pacing.
Yes.
When done well, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and to your marking out question, I'm thinking, oh man, like I said, my timeline is fuzzy, but I'm thinking it was 2017-ish when Naito came to Dayton. And like standing in the back of this 1106 East 3rd Street, this crummy old factory that we turned into this amazing house of wrestling, and just going back and meeting that man, shaking his hand, welcoming him to America was fucking surreal. And like to think of that notion of this person just performed in front of 100,000 at the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, and now here he is in Dayton, Ohio, shaking my hand and about to have a match that just got insane reactions because in Dayton, it was Naito versus Elgin. And people were not happy with Michael Elgin at that time. So, I mean, the vitriol in the crowd was real. And wow, just a magical night. To take something real like that and turn it into pure entertainment was phenomenal.
For me, seeing the Motor City Machine Guns like that close and live and in person is is unbelievable to me. I mean, I remember seeing them as young cats in Six-Sided Ring TNA.
Right? Yeah.
In the good TNA days.
My most recent mark. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you, but my most recent mark out was this. I had never got to see Shark Boy live besides at TNA shows. I never got to see him that close. And the fact that he wasn't announced and then he was the last entry. If I would have had to go potty, I would have needed to change my underpants at that moment because I freaked. Out. There's a moment. I don't know if we still have the clip available.
I think I have it right here. Hang on.
There's a moment.
That was a cool moment. I want to play that. That right there was that'll be in my top 3 favorite moments of Revolver ever for the rest of my life.
Wrestling in general. Ever.
Yeah.
But either way, there's a moment of that Shark Boy where I literally react in such a way, like you see pure 8-year-old boy joy, because I'm just like, it's Shark Boy. Like it took everything for me to absorb that, man. So now every time I go to a Revolver show, I'm taking this to Iowa too. I'm bringing this just in case, just so I can be like, look, dog. This is how much I love you. I've been carrying this thing around forever. He hung from my ceiling. There's like a wire above my ceiling fan. He hung above it precariously for almost 2 years. Like that's the type of stuff I do with him around my house. So.
Yeah, I remember that night when he showed up at the venue and just saying hey and being like, because I didn't know he was coming either, and just seeing him there, it's like, oh shit, like this place is going to explode. And that was one of the craziest reactions of the night. Like nobody knew he was coming. And yeah, that was just perfect. I was fortunate enough. I took a break from commentary for that match because my cousin and his wife came in from Columbus and visited. And, I wanted to say hey to them and like kind of, they are, not wrestling fans and were just purely reacting to what they saw. So like being able to kind of fill them in a little bit and answer their questions as I'm watching JP and Gia call that match was so cool. And just to be kind of out in the crowd when that Shark Boy reaction happened, it was awesome. But yeah, I would say my cousin Jeff and his wife Paige, I think that Dan the Dad is their first ever favorite wrestler. Because when he came out and, you could tell that the cup of coffee actually had liquid in it. Like that was what sold it, oddly enough, for my cousin. He was like, "This guy is a genius." And I was like, "Yeah,
pretty much."
Okay, here we go. I just found it. So
oh, great!
You kind of got to stare at it, but just after Shark Boy comes out, just look directly behind him.
My thoughts exactly.
Your final entrance. This is Shark Boy.
Oh my God! Shark Boy! Oh, sure, yeah.
It's just Cephas going ballistic. I remember feeling him grab onto my back, like freaking out.
I don't think you guys know I fucking love him.
I knew. I remember you saying stuff about Shark Boy, and I saw him, and I was just like, "Holy shit, Cephas is gonna have an aneurysm." And I look behind me, and he's back there.
Bro, only pro wrestling, man. That is a thing that only pro wrestling can give us. I think.
Yes, a shark man. Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
Being able to go
that made you a kid again in an instant.
Being able to go, oh shell yeah, at a show in 2023 was amazing.
I can't help it, man. I love it.
So
I love a good gimmick. Curry Man, Santino.
I love some Curry Man.
I want to put over. You mentioned one of the guest commentators at times, Miss Gia Miller. Yeah. She is hilarious on commentary. She did I can't remember. I think it was a Dayton show. I can't remember what match it was. I think it might have been one with Fulton in it because she kept like commenting on his tattoos.
Yes.
And just like
that
way
was in Iowa.
Was that in Iowa? Okay. The way that she talks on commentary just has me rolling the entire time. She is hilarious. She's awesome. I just had to put her over for a second.
Gia is great. And you can catch her. I think she's doing some commentary on Impact now on maybe DTI. But let me throw in yet another plug. I think I can do this. I think this is okay. The Revolver Grand Prix that's coming up.
Yeah.
I believe that your commentators for that night or for that event will be Veda and Gia.
Oh, awesome! So all women's
that'll be
also.
super cool.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We actually got the graphic right here.
Yes, that Women's Grand Prix.
Women's
as
Grand
I
Prix.
understand it, that is every competitor's a woman. Commentary will be women. Ring announcing will be women. That's
awesome.
That's a big deal.
You guys bringing in Dashikura to do ring announcing? That'd be pretty cool.
I honestly don't know who Sammy's lined up yet. We'll find out together.
I hope that Renee does a meet and greet because I want to meet Renee. I've met Mox like a gazillion times. I want to meet Renee.
Well, yeah, I really don't know what her plans are, so we'll find out on the 8th.
I also will say, since we just brought that up, I don't know who does your graphics for social media, but I love the social media graphics. I think they're very captivating.
I'll keep that a secret for now.
Well, I'd want whoever does that,
they do a great job.
mean, this is the redacted, like it's just, I want to go see that show for sure.
Yeah.
And then, it allows us to do stuff like this and be like, hey, we're going to Iowa, man.
Hell yeah.
Dude, I couldn't believe like so many people liked and shared that blew my mind. Like Crash Jackson liked it, Chambers liked it, and I'm just like, what? Okay.
Dude, we really are going to be there, though.
We could have the Undertaker on here tomorrow, right? And then a week later, I'm still going to mark out for I don't know, Raven, whoever. You know what I mean? It don't matter how high we get with this. We could book somebody. I'm like, oh my god, I want to talk to him. Like I don't. If I ever lose, I want to keep that at all times. You know what I mean? I want a small amount of Mark in me at all times. You know what I mean? Because I love wrestling, and I want people to know it. I want people to enjoy it with me. I think that's why I do this. You know what I mean? That's why I'm driving 8.5 hours. Which, by the way, we just had a catastrophe scare for a minute because my car needs new shocks. So we had to source a whole new vehicle literally within 2 days. But I got one thanks to my lovely wife. Shout out to my wife. We're going to take my wife's van. But literally, 8.5 hours because I love pro.
Dad's in the van. Let's go.
And to a degree, that's why I'm not the hugest fan of the word mark, because all it means is that you care. It's that you fucking love wrestling, and be a mark for anything. It just means that you have passion, you have an interest. Be a mark for your video games that you play, or the sports you watch, or whatever you love. Dive in deeply. That's part of the human experience.
I was gonna say I think of the word mark like the word nerd nowadays. It's just yeah. I mean, it's you can call me that any day of the week now, and I wear that with the badge of honor.
Yeah, that's a great point, and really the world has changed so much since our youth. Are we all in our 40s?
No,
just me, brother.
Just you?
Mid 30s. Yeah.
35, about to be 36.
34. Yeah.
Oh, you're the baby. I didn't know. I thought you were older.
I am the baby.
But yeah, I think anything that makes you feel like you were feeling 20, 30 years ago as a kid. Why not? Delve deeply into it and have enjoy yourself. I really think that I don't care what your hobby is, but if you care about it and you're pumped and it brings you joy, then as long as you're not hurting anybody, mark out.
Don't let what people
flame burn bright.
Don't let what people think step in the way of what you enjoy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It don't matter what it is.
But yeah, when 80s, even 90s, being called a nerd was an insult. If people knew you played Dungeons and Dragons, they would beat you up. I remember a time when you were a nerd if you played video games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now it's a probably $1 billion industry.
Right. So, the world changes, and everything that people get made fun of for eventually becomes the thing that everybody does.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, that's why we trendsetters, baby. Wait till 2035 when everybody's like, man, I wish I could get on the DWO podcast. You think you'll have me as a guest? Maybe if you message us.
Right.
Talk to our media relations.
Yeah. I don't think we're ever gonna get like that, man. I learned when I met Rowdy Piper, and I wanted to talk to him about Hell Comes to Frogtown. Yeah. And that lit him up, man, because no one wants to talk about his shitty movie. They always want to talk about They Live.
Yep.
But I wanted to talk about Hell Comes to Frogtown, and he loved that so much, and he stopped and talked to me, and it was while I was first building my band, and he gave me a piece of advice that I have rode with and I will ride with until I die. If you meet somebody that is a fan of you, no matter what you do, whether you're a quilter, a wrestler, a rock star, whatever you are, take the time, even if you're having the worst day of your life, and make that 10 minutes where you talk to them the best possible 10 minutes that could be. Because while for you, it may just be 10 minutes of a shitty day, for them, it could be the biggest moment in their lives. It could be something that could spark creation. It could be something that could just make them feel great. And if you could put that energy out there, why not do it? And that has sat with me ever since. And I've kind of approached meeting everyone that way. That's like when I met Eric. I don't know if you know our story, but I met Eric in the line at a Danhausen meet and greet.
Oh,
and
really?
I just hit it off with him, man. And next thing I know, a few months down the road, here we are in a very successful podcast. There he is.
Yeah. Our meeting was felt very meant to be, especially because I was late to that meet and greet, and that's why we met, because he wanted to do his shirt video with Danhausen, and Danhausen said, I'll do it, but you have to go to the back of the line and let everybody go ahead of you, and then I'll do it at the end. So he was there first.
Yeah,
and then stayed all the way to the end.
And
I was late, and he was like, hey, go in front of me. And I'm like, okay. Weirdo. And then he told me about his world record, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, okay, whatever.
You hear some stories, I'm just saying.
Yeah. And then I ended up talking to him because the line was still pretty long when I got there. And I ended up texting Mike and being like, hey, man, I might have a guest for a podcast. This guy's got a world record. Like, that'd be pretty cool. And,
First guess is what he said.
Yeah, first guess. Yeah. And just ended up going to an indie show like, 2 weeks later?
Yeah.
And
Battle on the Border, I believe it was.
Battle on the Border, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, speaking of Danhausen, I'll throw in a little trivia. If you watch back some old Rockstar stuff, Danhausen was in Rockstar before he was Danhausen, when he was Donovan Danhausen, and looked radically different from how he looks today.
Yeah, he was putting his human paint on, he was starting to embrace himself, and he thought he needed to mask himself for us. I'm glad that he's who he really supposed to be now,
Yes. It's and I think wrestling gives people a way to do that, to figure out who they are.
All bullshit aside, how fucking brilliant is he? He crafted such a character out of nowhere, because I heard of him before he was on Ring of Honor, really. He was just, I think he was already on there by that time, but I heard of him from his Pee Wee Herman dance. That's the first. He danced on a bar. I don't remember what show that was, but I remember being
remember that was my first introduction to him as well. Somebody said, go watch this match, and it was him doing the tequila dance on top of a bar and kicking the guy every time they said tequila, and it was awesome.
And I was like, instantaneous. I was like, what the hell is this? And then I started watching, and I realized it was Conan O'Brien, the vampire wrestler. I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like, sign me up. Like, that's why I love a good gimmick, man. It can be anything. You could be the milkman if you play it with your fucking heart's true is true. Like I'll be a fan of the milkman, dog. Let's go.
I am embarrassed that I forget his actual name, but there was a local wrestler named the Ice Cream Man, and he would literally come out with a box of the cheap, 10 for $1 ice cream sandwiches, and just threw them out in the crowd. And that was the most over motherfucker of the night. Just because he gave everyone free ice cream, and the cheapest ice cream possible. Now that is a gimmick.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's genius.
Whoops, that's great.
You could do it with say a slice of cheese.
Yeah.
Shout out to the cheese.
Shout out to the cheese.
He just fought one of our good buddies and also former guest of the show, Jack Vaughn, in Florida. It was the cheddar and Jack Cheese versus the veteran Jack Vaughn. And it was, bro, I'm so mad at Florida for being so far away from me, because I needed to see that.
The cheddar and Jack Cheese.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So we're a little over an hour here, but I do have to ask you, since we do have Redacted coming up here on Saturday, is there any match in particular you're looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm always very interested in our main event match, no doubt about that. And especially with Alex and Jake, with the history that they have, that best of 3 deathmatch series in Revolver was crazy, and to know that they're going into a no rope barbed wire match, and I've seen some of the schematics, some of the ideas had for it, and it's going to be nuts. But I think it's certainly not a sleeper match, but one that people are excited about, one that I'm excited about, because it's the first time I'll be able to see this individual in person, is Shun Skywalker versus Mike Bailey. Obviously, I've seen Bailey quite a bit. Speedball is incredible. He's the 2022 Revolver Wrestler of the Year. But I have not seen Shun Skywalker, and I am super pumped for that.
Yeah.
Anytime I get to see someone for the first time and call that match, I geek out on that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you, dude, because I can tell that you are a lot like me in the respect that you just love this. And
I do.
I know that the 10-year-old Bork inside of you is yes, you're doing the same thing I'm doing with Shark Boy. You know?
Absolutely. It like and you're absolutely right. That I have plenty of those moments where it's like, you know, I'm sitting in between Veda and Raywold, and it's like they are two individuals who have done so much more than I ever have or ever will in this business, and I'm just this lucky schmuck who got thrown into the mix, and so far have managed to stay there. And yeah, I'm incredibly fortunate, and
it's because
Sammy,
you're good, bud.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think, you know, longevity certainly counts for something. And I think at this point, I probably commentated more Revolver matches than anyone. I probably.
You're the Michael Cole of Revolver.
Oh, God. I don't know. I haven't reported on wars, so there is that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give Michael Cole his props. As much as I despised him back in the day, you know, back in like
the coal mine.
Yeah. All that stuff. But I mean, his longevity, man, now he's a VP and all kinds of stuff. So I mean, what would commentary be without Michael Cole these days?
And like, imagine the thing that blows my mind about any WWE commentator is that they can do their job with a 75-year-old maniac screaming in their ear the whole time. Like that's bonkers to me. I have a feeling I would quit the first day. Like I would really struggle with that.
Nope.
Fortunately, with Revolver, Sammy, you know, has faith in us, you know, and he only puts you on a show if he believes in you. So that's definitely a vote of confidence that I really appreciate. Yeah,
absolutely.
The guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's got a sense about him.
I do love. I have to tell this story real quick. You'll probably appreciate this. The first Revolver show we ever went to, we went up and gave our tickets to you and Sammy, but we did not realize that it was Sammy Callahan that we were giving our tickets to. We didn't think that was something that would happen. We were just like, oh, we're just giving it to this guy in a hat. And then like we walked by and somebody was like, oh, I'm gonna go get Sammy's autograph, and we're like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, he's right there. And we like kind of had a moment of clarity, like, oh shit, like we just walked right past it.
It's fucking Sammy Callahan.
That happens a lot. Because what other fucking wrestling company do you know of where the owner and one of the biggest names in it is there greeting you as you walk in?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
It's how Keanu stays famous, but also able to just ride on a train. He just pretends he isn't famous. You know what I mean? Sammy has that level of it too, as well, because he has a very recognizable face. But it happened to me as well. I literally walked past him like, oh, hold on a minute, like that's Sammy. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
And he's just I love seeing him operate on show days. I'm sure like it gets a little tense for him, making sure everything's operating well or whatever. But like, especially in intermission when like he comes out and he comes flip flopping down the aisle and he's like, all right, everybody back inside. And I love his wardrobe choice too, by the way. It's usually like a Reds jersey and some flip flops and a hat.
He's very hands-on.
And a like little satchel thing. And I love Sammy. So shout out to you, bud.
In there.
Yeah. Again, I think
there's Skittles in there.
He's really cultivated a positive mindset and mentality when it comes to working for Revolver, and I think being a Revolver fan. Like you've been to, I think we've all been to wrestling shows where things can feel off. There can be a negative energy or something that just doesn't feel right, but I've never had that at a Revolver show. People are excited to be there. The wrestlers are excited to hone their craft and put on an incredible show, and everybody just has a great time. Like I think it's an experience that every wrestling fan, if they can get to a show, they should, and if not, tune into Fight Plus.
What did your family think that weren't like avid wrestling fans? What did they think of the Revolver
none
show?
Of my family are avid wrestling fans. And it took, so like I said, 2015 was when summer of 2015 was when I started commentating for Revolver. it took until this year to get my family out to see a wrestling show. But you know what? I really lucked out in that department. Family and friends, I am incredibly fortunate. I'm not a rich man. I am not a man, who has a lot of romantic successes, but I do have incredible family and friends. And my family showed up. They made their own Bork t-shirts. It was my mom.
I think I saw them.
Yeah. I mean, my mom, my aunt and uncle, my cousins, their kids, significant others. One of my cousin's daughters actually went to school with Brent of Alpha Sigma Sigma.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he was like, wait a minute, like, what's the connection here? It's like, yeah. We're related. Fairborn through and through. But my family, a lot of them are surprised to learn about the wrestling aspect. But when I invited them and they all showed up, it was very heartwarming. I don't think they all love it. They're not huge wrestling fans, but they came to support me and they had a good time. One of my cousins, her fiance caught a free shirt. The hilarious part was it was the fuck the rope shirt, which if you're not a Revolver fan makes no sense whatsoever. But he was happy to get a free t-shirt. So yeah, they
I got a fuck the rope shirt. I don't know what the fuck it means, but it's pretty cool.
So they're very supportive. Yeah.
I bet at least a few of them left fans.
Yeah. I think the blood freaks them out a little bit, but I think again, as a wrestling fan, you start to develop an understanding of the role blood plays in a match, and how it can be a very powerful part of a match. Again, like anything, if it's done well, if it's done right.
Yes,
it definitely, and that's one thing I've noticed Revolver does really well, because some places people bleed just to bleed, and I feel like anytime somebody's bleeding in a Revolver match, there is a very good reason for it, and
I hope so.
It plays into the story of the match. So I like that.
Or it's Mox,
or it's Mox, and he just
the wind
can't help himself. Yeah.
Oh man, guys, we are Bork. You might be one of the most fun guests we've had lately, buddy. Nothing against any of our other guests. But the first time I looked at the camera, we were an hour and 15 minutes in. You know what I mean? And we're out. We have made an excellent. When we asked you to be on here, I think your first answer was, "Well, I don't have many good stories, but okay." I said something to that respect.
Are you sure?
I was like, I don't know about that, pal. I think you're gonna be fun.
Dude,
we have been.
I love your energy, man, and that's a big reason why we wanted to have you on too. I mean, that comes across from commentating, that comes across in the your promos, for the Revolver media stuff. So we just knew it was going to be a fun conversation, and you did not disappoint, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. And man, I think I heard it for the first time in your voice, Mike. Are you from the Pittsburgh area yourself?
No, Jesus,
no.
Go put soap in your mouth right now, sir.
Where are you from? Are you in Ohio?
I'm from Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
it's
I'm a
weird.
Bengals fan, so that's
he has family from the Massachusetts area.
Yeah.
Really?
So you will get
they're pretty wicked far away though.
Yeah.
Well, I totally misdiagnosed that one, so certainly
it might be the whiskey.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Maybe it is.
Must be the whiskey. That's a song, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
It is now.
That's the second time I've been serenaded. One during the podcast and once before the podcast.
There you
Very
go.
good experience.
All right. We do have one more question that we did not ask.
Oh, okay.
As dads, we have to ask this question.
Mike?
Sir, what do you keep your thermostat set to?
During the cold months or the hot months?
Both.
Hot.
Okay. So summertime, I like to keep it around 72. Wintertime, 68.
Boom.
Okay.
All right.
That is exactly
that
what I set
acceptable?
mine to.
You saved
Yeah.
saved it on the winner. Saved
That's
it on the
exactly
winner.
what I set mine to.
The summer you kind of break our hearts because we generally say that there's 3 acceptable answers:
Oh, okay.
68, 69, and 70.
Yeah.
However,
72 is more efficient and cost saving.
Well, and right
hi.
now I'm in my basement, and it gets significantly cooler down here. So I can set it high up there and then come down here to cool off if need be.
There you go.
It's a perfect 65 degrees down here in the dad den at all times.
Nice.
It's a perfect
Yeah,
fermentation temperature.
I don't do hot weather very well. I like it mild or cold, but hot's no
Same.
fun.
Give me spring and fall.
Yeah.
Mostly fall.
Yeah, this very quickly turned into a very dad conversation.
It happened.
Here's a story I could throw in. One for the very end. Jerry Lynn once came to a Rockstar show. And he was standing in the back near commentary, and the entire show, the parts where he wasn't involved at least, I just heard Jerry Lynn and our head of production have conversations about old school metal and veiny dad dicks throughout the entire show. So, there's a dad story if you ever heard one.
Yeah.
So we need to file that for just on the off chance that we ever get the chance to get him on the show.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about veiny dad dicks?
Yeah. It's like, dude, I'm telling you, dad dicks are like Thor's hammer. They're ridiculous.
Only if you're worthy.
That's true. That is true. Well, fellow dads, you guys got anything else before we wrap this up?
I do have some dad advice with the recent passing of Bray Wyatt. Explain to your kids what death is. Don't leave them in the mystery. I have a few friends of mine who didn't ignore death, but didn't really quite explain to their kids. I feel like I understand when you try to protect your kids from stuff, but I feel like at the same time, when you treat your children with general knowledge and respect, they give it back to you. You know what I mean? And I feel like while death is very difficult, I feel like when deaths of celebrities that they are fans of happen in their life, it's almost a chance to take that as a learning moment. So when it comes closer and it affects them in their real life and they lose an uncle, aunt, mom, dad, whatever it may be, they can understand it a little bit better and they can grieve a little bit better. So take some time and explain to your children when they go through tough times exactly what's happening. You'll never know how much it'll help them just so they understand it better,
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great point.
And an homage to a great legend that has also passed. Be sure to have your pet spayed or neutered.
That's right. Rob Barker. Yeah, that dude got as close to $1 as possible and then was like,
without going over. Yeah.
I'm out. Showcase Showdown, baby.
That's my baby sister. Hi, baby.
Hey, brother.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, kids are way smarter and way more observant than they are often given credit for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, be honest with them. You can be tactful and honest. And for God's sake, God damn it, like, tell the people in your life who you care about that you care about them while you can. Because last week gave us a great illustration of how quickly we can lose people. So, tell the people you love that you love them.
Well, with that being said, Bork, I really enjoy your commentary. I love having you on there. I love listening to you, man. And I think you bring a great energy to Revolver, and I hope we see a lot more of it, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anytime you want me back, just say the word.
Oh, trust me, we'll have you back on. We have Roland set up for basically Revolver rewinds after every Revolver show he comes on. So we'll have to get I think it'd be fun to have both of you on one of those at one point. That would be a lot of fun. So as always, we've been the DWO podcast. I am Big Rick Eric Maffey. He is Mr. Magnificent Mike Martin. He is Wrestling T-shirt Guy Cephas, and he is Mr. Bork Torkleson, the voice of Revolver. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been just an absolute blast.
You're welcome.
And guys, I'll tell you what, we are just knocking it out of the park with these guests. We have not had a boring guest thus far, I don't think.
Yeah, man.
Keep watching the Dad World Order. We're entertaining. We're fun. We like to, not be one of those wrestling outlets. It's just like, hey, let's talk about backstage fights. No, we want to talk about fun stuff.
Yeah.
So keep
Plug the
tuning
show.
in.
We've been
we'll be
great.
back- That's right. We'll be back here on Thursday. Check us out on all the socials at DWO_podcast, Facebook at the DWO podcast, TikTok at DWO_pod. Check out our merch, TeePublic, Pro Wrestling Tees, all that good stuff. Like, subscribe. Something dead body on Cephas's hands because he's got weird tattoos.
You didn't know I had dead body on my hands?
I did not know that. Dude, I had to find out walking behind you that you had Patrick Swayze on a centaur body that said Road Horse on your calf.
That's cool.
I also got a little guy jumping on a trampoline. Let's see if I can get him in there. Hey, wait, there he is. Jump, 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 jump.
That's who we are. Dad World Order. Gotta love it. Yeah, Caitlin, he's weird anyways. Yeah. Trust me, my daughter shares your sentiments. She thinks that Cephas is like the weirdest guy ever because he cheers for all the heels. She's like, why does he do that?
Except for Chambers.
Except for Chambers, yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, Top Dads out.